G'day, Couch Critics. It's Sogg and Brad here, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a longer chat. We're just going to talk a little bit. We've got kind of three main topics. At the top, we'll be talking about the FFA Cup, and then we're going to move on to talking about the Olyroos and the Matildas' performance at the Olympics, and we're just going to chat. It's just going to be a bit more a bit more like a podcast, I guess, but you can still see our beautiful faces in this new sunny location.
You're lucky. You know, if we overlap any photos into the video, we'll just make sure our faces are there. It's just so you know that we're there. Before we get into, obviously we're in a new setting. I've moved house, and so we've got a different kind of backdrop. We've gone from struggling to get good light to probably being a bit too bright, especially here in early afternoon.
Yeah, Bradley's just moved up in the world and bought a house and just showing off.
Thank you to all those subscribers that allowed me to get this mortgage.
Yeah, that's $0 that we get from.
But what you can do is if you got YouTube Premium, recommend it. I hate ads. You can just close your phone. You can sit it down. You can listen away. If you're driving somewhere, if you're a lucky person and can actually drive more than 5 kilometers away from their house,
or just drive that same 5 kilometer loop. As long as you don't go over. Yeah, but anyway, just plug us in, have a listen. Hope you enjoyed just chatting some football things. But firstly, we'll chat about FFA Cup because
it was meant to have already kicked off the other week in Victoria and other states as well. I'd booked in some games, but obviously our good friend COVID-19 is still hanging around, and all those games have just been postponed for now, and hopefully just postponed and not cancelled. It sucks because this was going to be the first major football tournament Paramount Plus was going to broadcast, or Channel 10 was going to broadcast, and it's been postponed, which really sucks. What do you reckon, Sogg? Do you reckon it's going to happen?
I think it's all a bit of a shambles, but I think the actual conspiracy behind it all is that they haven't changed the name yet, so it's still technically the FFA Cup. And so I wonder if they're just COVID has actually come just to postpone the start until they find a new name, and it'll just kick off under the new name. Why not? I know the earlier rounds have been played, so you probably can't change the name of the competition halfway through, but I don't know. The real rounds are the round of 32 onwards, right? The real rounds are when the A-League clubs are in and it starts kicking off, but that's, you don't want to. The early rounds are still normal too, so I don't know. Still the FA Cup, but it sucks, hey. We'd started getting some hype going. We started doing some club profiles. I'd lined up an interview with some players from a club up in Newcastle who were playing against an A-League team, and it's just put a bit of a dampener on things, hasn't it? Probably good for Paramount because they had not got their stuff together just yet.
And good for them, but also probably a bit disappointing for them because, like I said, it was going to be their first major football tournament. It was going to be a nice way to ease in to the big A-League, with 6 games a week. They could ease in, with a couple on the weekend or a couple midweek. And we were also going to start playing games on the weekend.
Yeah.
And, it was a real good buzz about it. I was really excited, and
I was really...
COVID, just bugger off.
I was really excited for South Melbourne Mike's manual crowd count for the South Melbourne game.
Looks like there's 20k here. Official attendance, 506.
There were some cracking games. That Melbourne City versus South Melbourne would have been a absolute.
And even if we had full capacities allowed at stadiums, I reckon.
Lakeside would have been buzzing.
South Melbourne might actually get a crowd over 5k, and that would have been really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because South Melbourne's always had that argument about, we deserve to be in the A-League. Well, here's your chance to show it in a local derby against the champions of Australia, and it was going to be a cracking fixture. And
on TV, or on a streaming service, it would have been on 10 Play, but I think that's exciting. So it's just really disappointing. But I mean, New South Wales, get your stuff together. It's just ridiculous. 400 cases. Yeah,
we had 466 on Saturday, so it's not great, but it's encouraging with the vaccine rate that I'm not going to get too political about it, but they're hopefully on track by November to hit that herd immunity level about 70-80% if things continue, and if that means life can go back to normal, hopefully we can go back to full stadiums and we can go back to the FFA Cup and the A-League.
Yeah, that's it. That's as long as your elderly aren't going to the football, those who are, if you're not vaccinated, just don't go to the football. maybe that's a condition of getting into stadiums as well now. You're going to have your vax pass to get anywhere. So, yeah, sorry if you're an anti-vaxxer out there, and
we don't want to get too political.
That's your choice, but I think the government's pretty clear on what will happen, and I think Football Australia will kind of match that. I mean, all the clubs have, put their support and behind getting vaccinations, and yeah, I guess it gives a bit of time for A-League clubs who've brought in new players to gel. So I don't think we're going to see many upsets from NPL teams, particularly with the New South Wales NPL being cancelled. That kind of is thrown in the mix here as well, Brad. What do you make of that decision?
It was only a matter of time, I think. There was a number of Sydney associations we knew of that were calling it off, and it was only a matter of time when, there seems like there's no end in sight right now for the pandemic in New South Wales, and the easing of the restrictions to allow community sport happen. It just...
Yep.
Ultimately, it was not surprising. It was just, why did it take so long to make this call?
Yeah, it's a bit silly, isn't it?
But I think that'll be the challenging thing, because obviously some NPL comps around the state have been going. Victoria's been interrupted on and off. And hopefully the FFA Cup, will be delayed to probably November, December now, because I still think they'll want to go ahead with it. It'll just be not as originally planned. Those New South Wales clubs, hopefully they'll be back by a training event, but they haven't played a game since June.
Yeah.
That's, and if the FFA Cup was going to go ahead how it was now, they were entering their finals. They would have been at their peak.
Yeah.
And upsets can still happen if it's being played midweek during the A-League. Some clubs might just want to say, listen, we don't want to go all out for this game, and then that upset might happen. But yeah, like you said, it's probably going to be a bit harder to get that upset when they're so unfit from not playing in months.
And that's one of the things, isn't it, with the scheduling of the FFA Cup? We want the final to kind of be the last thing of the season nowadays. That's the new FFA kind of match calendar, the national match calendar. And I like that idea. It does work. But at the moment, with no second division, with no... Upsets can happen, but it's currently poised to help that, kind of, with NBL teams hitting towards their finals as they get A-League teams who are in pre-season. That's the best chance that they're going to knock them off with new players coming in for A-League clubs and teams, not at full fitness. And then you've got these NPL teams who are fighting really hard. They've got that whole season. So I do think it's going to be interesting in the future to see if we see more just A-League dominance, which, I mean, already it's A-League dominance. In the history of the FFA Cup, when it was already kind of tilted towards the NPL clubs, they were getting NPL clubs through to the semi-final guaranteed, and, they weren't matching the A-League teams. We saw the disparity. So I think at the moment it gives even less chance for NPL clubs to actually, which I'm fine with. I don't want a rigged draw.
No, and they moved away from it this time. They actually split into zones, which I actually thought was a smart idea, because they probably thought, COVID, if we can just regionalise all the zones for at least the first round. Yeah. And I think that is probably a good idea, at least this year for COVID. Obviously, it didn't work out. No games have been played yet because lockdown in New South Wales, on and off in Victoria and Queensland, and the Democratic Republic of Western Australia just not letting anyone in.
Their season's probably still going.
But yeah, I think it's always going to be hard, unless we have a second division. It's always going to be harder for those teams not outside the A-League to be able to win it, because the gap between the professional level and the semi-professional level is so big.
Yeah.
I mean, the FA Cup in England hasn't had a second division winner since the early 70s, and I think it was Sunderland that won it, and the gap between their first division and second division was a lot closer, and it's probably been stretched a lot more, but still, it would be extremely hard for a second division team in England to be able to beat a Premier League team.
Yeah, let alone a semi-professional team from Australia.
I mean, I think in the current standard of football in Australia, it would be actually quite embarrassing for those A-League teams to let a NPL club go 4 or 5 rounds and win the final. But obviously, there's a lot to play for an NPL club. The potential to host Guangzhou Evergrande out at Adensa Park at Sydney United. What are the chances? But
they wouldn't be allowed to play there. But
no, probably not. But I think with the Asian Champions League qualifying spot now, it adds a little bit more to it all. Especially if someone like Newcastle and Central Coast, who might not We'll take out Central Coast going off last year. Maybe someone like Newcastle or Melbourne Victory.
Yeah.
That's a bit rough. Like, that wasn't really challenging for those tops, but they could go through a cup competition.
And I think that's been... like, the FFA Cup is moving in the right direction. Things like, the playoff for those bottom A-League clubs, like punishing poor seasons, that's good. Moving towards this open draw, that's good. Yeah. Giving a spot to the Champions League for the winner, these are all good things. The future is bright, and it really has been the spark. This year's just kind of fizzling a bit. So I do hope they run it. I'm pessimistic that they're going to can it. But
I'm a bit more optimistic that it will go ahead. It'll just be very different to what we wanted. It'll just be played, midweek, maybe
summer
early next year.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the reality.
Because eventually they've got...
Because I think the NPL clubs definitely want to play it. They want to be able to host an A-League team. Like the story I did on Edge Hill United, the small little team from Cairns.
Yeah,
sure. They'll want to have their crack at the national level.
Yeah.
It's just, where it's going to fit right now.
And that's the thing, is you run out of time, because eventually next year's FFA Cup has to start. Like the early rounds of that.
But we also we're pausing now for international windows. Yeah. So there is that period where we could say, actually, let's just play the FFA Cup on that weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, as long as it's not A-League teams. Absolutely. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's... I love the FFA Cup. I think it's the best thing football Australia's done in the past decade. In this country, just trying to unite all our clubs together. And so, for me, I want it to go ahead. And I am optimistic it will. It just won't be probably the way definitely won't be the way they wanted it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, look, it probably won't happen the way we wanted it, but it is what it is. Yeah. Not too much else to really say about the FFA Cup. And so let's move into the other big kind of thing that's happened in the last month or so. It's off-season time, but we've had the Olympics. We had some Olyroos games, and we had more Matildas games. Let's chat. Maybe we'll save the best till last. We'll save the Matildas till last, because
we're definitely agreeing that's the best. Definitely is the best. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
First ever semi-final appearance in a major football tournament for our country.
Yeah,
either men's or women's.
It's huge. Absolutely huge. There's still thoughts on it, but... Well, are we still rolling? There we go. We've just been called by our own parents, and we've just heard the news that New South Wales, all of regional New South Wales, is in lockdown as of 5 o'clock this afternoon. So, yeah, that's interesting. Changes nothing about the Olyroos or Matildas, but... no football tomorrow.
Yeah, no football.
That's rubbish.
Yeah, it's Anyway, let's. I don't want to get too political and really think what I'm thinking right now, but yeah, okay, all right. You want to talk about the Olyroos?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, well, Olyroos, I think.
Yeah.
I think Olyroos is just like the men's team, like the senior team. Like, you can get just so excited and disappointed all in the space of 3 games. Like, I felt like the way they started was so exciting. The way they finished was an absolute letdown.
It felt like every World Cup we've ever watched, hey?
Yeah. And I think of us at the World Cup, we've probably always been a bit out of our depth there.
Oh, yeah.
But the way we started against Argentina and the response in those next 2 games was really disappointing as a fan. To think, especially against Egypt as well. A team I probably thought if we're going to get a point against anyone, it was going to be Egypt.
Yeah.
And within a minute, I'm like, all right, he's parking the bus.
Yeah.
Like it's you can't and it almost worked for Spain. Had it worked for Spain, it probably would have been enough to get through. But you've got to give it a go. Like I even at that kind of tournament, give it a go. If you 30-40, go for the first half. If it's not working, or if you're a couple goals down, well, then obviously you change. But you really got to go for it. And
yeah,
the Argentina win was an absolute shock. Fantastic shock. Some poor refereeing both sides, but it just, I thought it was a disappointment.
Yeah, look, the first game, the Olyroos were good. They did give us hope. They defended well. I thought they attacked really well. going into the tournament, everyone said Mitch Duke was a poor choice as the only kind of over 23s player.
I thought he performed quite well.
He did really well in that first game, and to be honest, we maybe should have had a goal or two more. We'd already scored before their red card. We did get lucky, but we made it work. You still got to finish those chances. You still got to win that game. So I thought the first game was fine, and the tactics were attacking. It looked really good. It's that next game against Spain, I don't actually have an issue with too much. If we held on for a draw there, everyone goes, yeah, that's a heroic performance. It was good. It just fell short. It just fell short. And that's against a Spain team that had 5 or 6 players in the squad for the Euros.
Yeah, I mean, we made Spain work for 80 minutes. I don't think it's a...
I think in the end
it wasn't a great result, but, I think... that was the performance I thought, it's just...
Yeah, we rode our luck a bit, and, yeah, Spain deserved a goal. If we'd come out with a draw, we would have gone, you beauty. But the loss, we didn't play... We were never going to win that game the way we set up, the way we tried to play. And so you got to cop that. But then the reaction for the Egypt game is, it's what the entire nation is disappointed about. Because everybody could see that, right, we could hold off Spain, sure, but Egypt are hungry. They're the champions of Africa at that level. Like, they're no team to just be, turn our nose up at.
I mean, it was the worst group for us to be in, but,
it was
this is what happens at a top-level tournament.
Yeah,
you have to play the best teams if you want to beat, if you want to win the tournament.
And look, our young players are good. They've had a season in the A-League, most of these players, and they're decent players. But, that being said, look, the first half, Arnie got wrong, and we got punished for it. Marco Tilio just didn't have the spark that he had in those first 2 games, right? And we were hurt by those suspensions, absolutely. But, that being said, he gets the start of the second half right. First 25 minutes of the second half, we looked good. We looked like we were going to get back into the game. And then he sticks a centre back at forward and relies on Nick D'Agostino throws for the last half hour. That's irresponsible. Arzani looked good. There were some good...
Yeah, he had some moments.
Yeah, look, it just... Yeah, it was a disappointment. And then, of course, Egypt wanted it, and they finished us off like a good team does. It was a complete mistake, a complete shit show from Arnold in that third game, and that cost us a spot in the next round.
And I understand we're out of our depth against those teams. Like, it would have been hard to get out of it, but it wasn't the fact, I think in the 2014 World Cup for Australia, we did really well in a very hard group. And I think at the end of it, I'm not, too disappointed. I think we tried really hard. I think, though, in this one, in the under-23s at the Olympics, the first game was good, and I thought, sweet, you beauty, let's go on with it. Yeah. And especially, like you've said, you've gone through, the response in the Egyptian game is really disappointing. And I don't know if he got sacked or he stepped away, but I think Graham Arnold doesn't deserve to keep his job after that performance, because this is the height of your job in this role, is to get them through to the quarterfinals. And your response in the time of when we needed a result was absolutely disappointing.
It's just the whole attitude behind it, that there's a reason, we're both wearing our Australia shirts here, but there's a reason there's a kangaroo and an emu on our emblem as a football nation. That why they're our Australian emblems, because they're animals that can't go backwards, right? They don't take backwards steps, they're always moving forwards. And that's usually the heart of the Socceroos, the Olyroos, is that we go out there and we don't take a backwards step, but those were backwards steps. I know against Spain you got to think smart, okay? But against Egypt, that was a complete cowardice. Complete cowardice. It was just a shrinking back, and we got what we deserved. It's in that game where Duke, the only over 23 player who got suspended, that's when you go, Okay, we actually only scored 2 goals in that tournament. Maybe, I don't know, Jamie McLaren was a good idea to take along. I don't know, maybe Nikita Rukavica, who's, scored 30 goals in Israel the season before. Maybe he's an okay... Yeah. Maybe, putting a centre-back who's, got some experience.
Yeah. But also, clubs aren't under an obligation to release players for the Olympics over the age of 23. So we don't know what the options were. He might have said, I want Jamie McLaren. Melbourne City said no.
Well, I hope if any Australian club said no to an over-23s player...
That would be extremely disappointing.
Yeah, well, James Johnson needs to be on the phone to them.
Yeah, there'd be plenty enough time to come back, do your ISO. We don't start our season until October. It's not going to affect your preparations.
I understand overseas clubs. So the Spanish teams, by law, have to release their under-23s players for Olympics.
And I think that should be the case for under-23s, for sure.
Yeah. So, look, that's disappointing that we didn't have some players who had that experience. I know we talked about, sending the players who got us there, and it's their opportunity. Absolutely, but that's why you take over. Because you look at Spain's, Oyarzabal, what a player. You put 1-2 players in like that, and it can completely change a squad. And so, in front of goal, I'm going... Where's someone? Where's the person in the midfield who's actually got the experience just to...
And you said about Mitch Schuking was suspended. I really thought
it was soft.
Oh, yeah, no, soft. I mean, but all around the team, their discipline was shocking. There was so many yellow cards, I think, in the first 2 games. I'm like, guys, we're still in the chance for the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And we've still got to play that crucial 3rd game.
Yeah.
You can't afford to give away a card. It's so stupid. Some of the tackles, I'm thinking, what the hell are you... Guys, what the hell? This is so stupid.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so that's some negatives about the Olyroos. There were some positives. There were some positives to take from all of it. When you look at some of the players, and this was one of the big things that came out, the season that we just had in the A-League, where it was the best season for young players playing, more minutes, more appearances, more goals by young players.
And a win against Argentina at the Olympics as well.
And I mean, you look at some of the players who did really well. Thomas Deng is not at the A-League, obviously. He's over in Japan. But he looked really decent. And Harry Suter, we know he's a championship. He's a championship player. And, Australian
and there's been a few transfers out of it as well.
Yeah, so Denny Jonro, who has had a fantastic season at MacArthur Bulls last year... And did play well. He's a great centre midfielder. And
Devlin got picked up as well.
Yeah, Cammy Devlin gets... Well, he spent a whole week and a half at Newcastle Jets, I think.
So where was he before Newcastle?
Before Newcastle, he was at Wellington.
Okay, so it's still,
he spent the whole season at Wellington, played really well. The most tackles out of any player in the A-League for a midfielder, right? He... gets the move to Jets, and a week and a half later, Jets pick up a transfer fee to send him over to Scotland. Fantastic. He didn't play many minutes at the Olympics.
But those performances at the Olympics have probably got them over the line to those good European transfers.
They opened up eyes. Arzani splits opinions all over the place, but he did pretty well. He still needs to get rid of the ball, but I mean, he still has that spark that made people notice him. Yeah. And by golly gosh, I hope he has an okay season wherever he's gone.
No injuries, play plenty of football because he needs plenty of football.
And people are saying, wondering, is it a mentality thing? Maybe he's shown he wants to play football. He just has to stay fit. He's got to give it a crack, and hopefully he's with a coach who wants him over there. And Marco Tilio, continued that fine form from what a goal against Argentina, and he's a spark. Good. He's fantastic. Daggers wasn't amazing, but he got us there. So he definitely deserved a spot in the team. Other midfielders were decent. I'm trying to think of who played alongside Denny Jonro in the centre midfield most of those games.
Staying in the midfield.
No. It was...
McGree.
Yeah, Riley McGree did well, but it wasn't him either. He was playing kind of further up. It was... Connor Metcalf. Connor Metcalf for Melbourne City. Again, almost played the whole season for Melbourne City, I think, and was fantastic. Joel King, left back, probably could have shot a few times against Egypt, but young player of the season for the A-League and had a fantastic 3 games. You know, defensively sometimes he's, you know, looks... When a world-class player's running at him and, you know, he can pick a ball, so he's really come in leaps and bounds and now looks really good. And who was on the right? Nathaniel Atkinson on the right.
Tasmanian.
And Tom Glover, look, he had a okay kind of time, but everything was just incredible. Like, you look at those positives, and that's all come out of an A-League season where young players got to play. And I think that leads you to 2 conclusions, and we'll probably talk about this in another kind of longer chat, but expansion and second division, I really do think that these things are vital when you look at the evidence of when young players get the chance to play competitive football for more than 3 minutes a game.
And they were forced
4
into that
times.
Decision to play more juniors because of the lack of
Yeah.
internationals leaving or not wanting to come during COVID. And look what's happened.
Yeah,
We've had the best A-League season in years.
And that's what I'm saying. If we don't have enough opportunities in a 10-team league or an 11, 12-team league, you know, with 26 rounds, there's not enough opportunities for young players. Expand a couple of teams, get a second division that's competitive and has promotion relegation, and then you have a system where young players are playing against good players, opposition all the time. You can still bring your imports in and have good teams with competitive teams if they want, but you also allow the option for young players, and that will see way more development of young talent in Australia than any national curriculum of passing the ball or, you know, it's just the evidence, and if people can't see that,
we don't have it. There's no lack of footballers in this country.
No, absolutely.
And if you
not.
present more opportunities to compete at a high level, like you have another 2 expansion teams, sweet. That's, you know, maybe 10 teams, 10 players, but into each team that are under the age of 23. That's going to get a run.
Yeah.
You know, second division, you know, more the top level clubs are going to be looking down, thinking, oh, where are the good players at? Where are the good up and coming players?
Yeah.
Transfer fees, they bring in money, they can develop them more. Like, it's
yeah.
And I think, you know, the extra 2 A-League teams have helped. You know, with MacArthur and Western have really, you know, had a few good, like Dennis Shonru.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of those guys at MacArthur at a new club who, you know, they saw him and thought, oh yeah, we'll give him a go.
Yeah. And
it's paid dividends for him.
Absolutely.
You know, if we get another 2 teams, you know, what other opportunities can we talk of?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. So I think that's, if anything, that's the positive that comes out of the Olyroos campaign, is you just see that you put the time in and you allow youngsters to have this opportunity, and you do get good results. Our players can match it on the world stage with the right management, with the right, you know, team behind them. We're there. It's, you know, a couple of little decisions really, and we're looking at a quarter-final. So yeah, you got to take the good with the bad. There are positives to draw out of it. Unfortunately, we still go down as we came last in our group, you know.
Yeah. But how about we move on to something... Well, that was a fairly positive and hopeful in the future. But let's talk about something positive that actually happened in the past couple of weeks. I mean, we didn't get a medal, but the Matildas, the first senior football team out of men or women in this country to make the semi-finals of an international tournament.
Yeah, look, 4th is not bad, hey? 4th's not bad.
And you look who finished ahead of them. USA. Even though an aging USA team, it's still the USA.
Yeah, Norway,
Sweden,
who have been... Oh,
Sweden. And Canada. Well, Canada won the gold and Sweden came second, but... And let's be honest, are some hot teams above them. They're really good teams.
Canada really just scraped their way through to a gold medal. And then you're looking at, Sweden and America, 2 of the best teams and have been for decades. right? And our girls really, yeah.
And we were put in a really difficult group. We had Sweden, we had the USA.
Well, you see,
we had
three of the four
New
teams.
Zealand,
Of the four teams were in the top four. Like that's huge.
Yeah.
We complained about it for the Olyroos. That's a tough group, and we didn't get out of it. You look at the Matildas, probably a tougher group in comparison.
Oh yeah.
And they get through, and they did.
But
really well.
Our girls, though, they definitely can match up with those teams. I think the Olyroos really on paper can't, but we got some pretty solid performances in those games. The New Zealand one, I thought the first game we probably should have won by a few more goals.
Absolutely.
And New Zealand almost got us there at the end. Sweden, I mean, was it 4-2 in the end, and the missed penalty to make it 3-3 at one stage, that was really disappointing. But still, and then to hold USA to a draw, I'm not complaining about that. But it was the quarterfinal that really just
that game
got the whole nation come together.
Great Britain was fantastic.
Like that, the comeback and some of those goals. Like I flicked it on because I was quite busy, but I saw the goal straight from the kickoff in the second half. Like Sam Kerr scoring straight off straight off the kickoff. Like that was magical. It was probably the highlight. And then Mary Fowler won, I think 18, 19, she's fairly young, and for her to score a goal, even though a bit scrappy, that was... And I think they all stole our hearts.
Yeah, well, Tegan Micah, everyone, there was a little bit of,
I was
murmurs
surprised when they dropped Lydia Williams. I was like, all the ads have got on TV for her, and then they drop her, and I was like, I don't know about this, but then... she stood up.
Tegan Micah did a great job. Yeah, and that penalty save and the saves kind of around that time. Great Britain were really pushing, and she kept us in. And then we go down the other end, and Fowler scores.
Save the penalty.
Just a beautiful goal. Yeah. Some awesome performances. Some real standout kind of players. Sam Kerr still... Look, she is...
she's the poster girl.
She's a fantastic in-the-box striker. Her first touch lets her down a little bit. Thinking about, the performance and the formation. So Tony Gustafsson didn't change the formation once.
It went all right for him.
It did, although there were some times I was a bit worried about it.
We had 3 at the back, didn't we?
We had 3 at the back, and people have identified this, okay? It was an interesting tactic to play Steph Catley, one of definitely the nation's best left wing back, and Ellie Carpenter, definitely the nation's best right wing back, as left and right centre backs in that. Maybe because we have a lack of quality centre backs. So Alana Kennedy and Claire Polkinghorne both made their mistakes throughout the competition. Yeah. Having them as a back 2 pairing, maybe not. Surely there is another good centre back though in the W League somewhere who could have stepped in there. And so I think the same thing we were talking about with the Olyroos and the A League playing young players. The Matildas and the W League has to do the same. Expand the season, get Central Coast into the competition.
Well, I'm hearing rumours, Western United were very keen to come in like this upcoming season. Same with Wellington, even if they're based in Australia, got to give them a team and
get them in and give girls the chance to play competitive
and play
football.
The full season. They've got to play the full season as well. You're playing 12 games in a 9-team comp. You should be playing 16. Why can't you just play another four games?
It's ridiculous, and those opportunities will see more development in young players. We've got a World Cup coming up. Come on our home shores. If we don't have another centre back by then, that's on the head of Football Australia.
Yeah, and you talk about expansion with the Olyroos, expansion with the women. It's the most played sport, both men's and women's. We always talk about netball as most played. No, garbage. No, it's football. Football's the most played sport in this country for men and women. You get 2-3 new W League teams.
Yep.
That's a host more opportunities because there is plenty of good female footballers that aren't even playing at top division teams down in Sydney or Melbourne.
Yeah.
Even out here in Central West, we've got some great footballers that could go on elsewhere, but the pathway for them isn't there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was one thing that was kind of concerning. Hayley Razzo. And she did a fine job, but defensively we just looked weak. We looked about as strong as a wheat bix, like a dry wheat bix.
And that's where we really got caught out in the group stage against Sweden.
Yeah.
Not in the semi-final. I thought ref had an absolute shocker in the semi-final with that call. But then, there was plenty of opportunities for us to go and get that another goal. And Sweden's goal was so scrumptious.
Then against America as well, very open at the back.
And I think Ellie Carpenter is by far our best player. Sam Kerr, great. But I really think Ellie Carpenter is the backbone of the team. She works so hard. And I'm probably a bit biased because, she's from the Central West. But, she's a good player. I reckon our best player. She's at the best female football club in the world at Lyon.
Yeah.
And that brain fart the semi-final.
The
game is over. It's done. Who cares? And then she does that garbage tackle. And I think that costs us in that because I'm like, we've still got the bronze medal match to worry about. We need you in it because the USA can score goals and you're there. You make a difference. And if we had her there, I don't think we're conceding. How many did we concede in the end? 3?
4.
4, yeah. No,
we lost 4-3
4-3. And I think if Ellie's there...
it's a different result, maybe. Yeah, look. Yeah, so I just wonder tactically if that was the best choice. Sure, okay, if we don't have the centre-backs, let's remedy that problem before we get to the World Cup in 2023. That's a must. I would have liked to see some more game time for Mary Fowler. I don't think Caitlin Ford had the best tournament. She's normally a lot more attacking. She's normally way more of a threat in the box, Caitlin Ford, and I think Mary Fowler should have gotten a bit more of an opportunity. Maybe Emily Jelnick could have had more opportunities. I think our midfield is our strength, though. You look at Elise Kellen-Knight, she's fantastic, and you look at Emily Van Egmond, she's great.
She's been there forever.
Yeah, and
I looked her up. She's only 29, 30.
She's so good. She can spread the ball so well. I liked having 3 up front, absolutely. I just would have liked to see some variations when games were going against us. I don't think we really had anything. It was the same substitution, Kyra Cooney-Cross and Mary Fowler on in the 70th minute. I expected more from Gustafsson, really. And it's hard to say that. Look, we got to the semi-final, right? We came 4.
But if we did a few things differently, maybe we could have made the gold medal match.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, in all right, we probably should have been 1-0 up in the semi-final.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything, we could have went on with that. But I think that's the difference between the Olyroos. Well, it's the same thing with the Olyroos. If we did a few things differently, it could have worked out a lot better for us. And it's hard because, like you said, we made the semi-finals, and we're still talking about, we're disappointed with some of the things the coach did. And if he did that,
and maybe that's just our footballing kind of culture, isn't it? We don't believe that. I don't think we really believe that we can win it.
And when people think that, we can win gold medal, they laugh at you. I was like, well, I think that's the mentality thing. If we had a good enough team to win gold, but there's also another lot of good teams that, in the women's I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are good teams, but we can beat them on our day.
And we need to be on our day. And I believe that team had what it took to win gold. Yeah, maybe some decisions by the coaching could have worked out a bit better, but the Olyroos, I didn't expect much, to be honest, but
I think it's that. I think we sit here and we are disappointed, which shows maybe we do believe we should get further, but we believe too late, and then we look back and go, that was a really good chance to do something special, and we kind of coughed it up because we didn't believe when we should have. The Olyroos go into that game believing against Egypt. We get through. The girls, and I think the girls worked really hard. You cannot fault their effort out there.
It's a good result.
Yeah, it absolutely.
It's disappointing not to win a medal. Would have been our first ever football medal at the Olympics, but I can't get too critical, even though we kind of have a bit, about the women because they performed really well. I think the most critical thing I've been about was Ellie Carpenter's brain fart because there was still a medal on the line and it was not worth getting sent off because the game's done.
Yeah. I just would have liked to see Steph Catley and Ellie Carpenter as wingbacks I think
You
defensively
mean like the three midfielders and then the three centre backs and then the that would have been pretty solid.
I think they defend better at wider, and I think then they can attack wider. Then you have Hayley Rasso as an option, as an actual winger. Then you have it just gives you more options. I think. Yeah. So we need to fix that centre back.
Kai Simon, she's got a gig now. She's gone off to Tottenham.
Yeah, look.
But yeah, I don't.
She's a winger or striker, in rotation with... I think she was fine on the right-hand side with Ford and Kerr, but I just would have liked to see some variation. Throw Razzo up in there for 5 minutes and see what she can do, because she's a fantastic footballer in her own merit. Throw some of these other players on and give them a crack. That's what I was just disappointed. I think Gustafsson was just a bit too tactically rigid and didn't account for some of the players we have.
A bit safe, just
I think so.
Simple.
And sure, look, the Olympics wasn't his only thought. He's here for the long term. He's here for the 2023 World Cup. I want to see something different next time. I want to see him actually... Look, he didn't have heaps of preparation with COVID. It's been difficult, but that's my criticism of him. I think I'm not going to bring in former coaches to the debate or anything. I think just looking at what he did, I want to see something different next time.
But it's not enough for me to say unlike Graham Arnold with the Olyroos, I was there's not enough for saying I don't want him as coach anymore. I think he's a good coach for the role.
Yeah.
Things have to improve on. For Graham Arnold and the Olyroos, I think he let us down at the most important time, and I think that should be enough to lose your job or for him to step away.
Absolutely.
Which he hasn't, because it's a big kick though. The senior team and the under 23s, you need a full-time coach on both of those.
It'd be interesting to see who does take the position. Is it
Was Tony Vidmar? Was he the assistant coach?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we might get an international person. We don't know.
Left field, I'm going to say Harry Kewell.
Harry Kewell.
Give up you're managing 5th tier in England. Give it up, mate.
I think he got sacked.
No. He got sacked from 4th tier down to 5th tier.
5th tier, gosh.
Yeah, he's managing a non-league club this season.
Yeah, good on him.
Give it up. Come and do the Olyroos. Do the under 23s.
Yeah, no. If I was a kid at that age wanting to play for my national team, being coached by Harry Kewell, probably one of our biggest ever Socceroos.
Yeah.
Probably never hit the heights with all his injuries, but he was the poster boy for us
in
those mid 2000s.
Or Hayden Fox. He has missed out on so many opportunities to be a head coach at A-League level. Give him the under 23s, because he knows his stuff. He's a fantastic coach in his own merit. Give him a crack at the 23s. I reckon he'd be good.
I think he'd be pretty solid.
Yeah. We've been chatting for a while now, and we've had interruptions from parents telling us about COVID lockdowns and stuff. So stay safe. Hopefully we'll get to chat again soon.
I mean, it's a 5-day lockdown. Maybe we could do something over Zoom or something. But
we probably will talk about second division expansion kind of.
It's a hot topic. You can sit there for an hour and chew the fat fall, but
absolutely. If you've made it this long, if you listened to all of this, good on ya. And let us just know your thoughts down below.
We might even see if we can upload this to Spotify or something.
Yeah, we might just take the audio file.
I have to figure out how to do it, but if Spotify's your thing, maybe that might be another avenue for you guys to listen to us.
Yeah, so let us know down in the comments what you want, because that's why we're here. Thanks for all the subscribers. We appreciate
300. I think we were 270 last time.
Yeah, 270 something. So yeah, we're ticking over into season number 2, really.
Oh, for us, yes.
Yeah. So it's been a bit over a year, and it's been good. So we're going to keep talking about football, and you keep watching. We're happy. So thanks for the chat, Bradley.
Yeah.
And enjoy your lockdown for 5 days.
Well, I wasn't going to watch much of the Premier League tonight because I had soccer in the morning, but I might chuck an all-nighter. There's the early kick-off, then there's the midnight, then I think there's a 2 o'clock game. And you know what? Why not? Not getting up in the morning.
Yeah, why not?
I'd binge A-League all night, but A-League's not playing the night, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yep, time to start a football manager save, eh?
Played it so many times, I've never got into it.
Yeah.
I'll figure something. I've been working from home for weeks now, so it's something new for me.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not allowed to do anything now. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, like. We'll see you later.
Catch you later.